Have you ever sat by the phone, maybe even picked it up just to make sure it was working, and then gently set it back down, realizing another day's gone by with no word from your children? You're not alone. So many parents, especially as we get older, find themselves sitting in that silence. It can feel personal, even though they say it's not. They're just busy, or swamped with work, or meant to call yesterday. And maybe they did, or maybe it's been 2 weeks or 2 months, and the ache of that quiet space only seems to grow louder with time. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about blame. This is about what you can do when your heart starts to carry a weight that doesn't feel fair. This video isn't about fixing your kids. It's about helping you feel whole and grounded again, even when the calls don't come. Because here's the truth. You deserve peace in your life. You deserve connection, joy, and love, no matter how often your phone rings. And there are ways to handle that hurt in a way that doesn't break you, but actually helps you grow stronger. Let's begin with something simple, but powerful. It's okay to feel what you feel. Let me say that again. It is okay to feel hurt. So often we try to brush off the pain by saying things like, "Oh, I'm just being dramatic," or "They must have a good reason." But your feelings are real. They matter. And when we suppress them, when we pretend they don't exist, we're only letting them fester in silence. So instead, try allowing space for those emotions. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's talking to a trusted friend. Or maybe it's simply sitting for a few quiet moments and saying, "I miss them," and that's okay. Naming the hurt doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. And that honesty is the first step toward healing. Now, the next thing is a little tougher, but just as important. Don't let their silence shrink your life. You see, when we're waiting on a call, it's easy to pause everything else. You might skip an event, turn down an outing, or stop yourself from making new plans, just in case they finally decide to reach out. But that kind of waiting isn't patient. It's paralyzing. And your life is far too precious to be put on hold. Start filling your own calendar with things that bring you joy. It could be as simple as a morning walk, a weekly lunch with a neighbor, or signing up for that pottery class you've always been curious about. These moments matter. They're reminders that your story doesn't stop just because someone else hasn't turned the page. One woman I spoke with, she's 68 and lives alone now, shared that she used to bake cookies every Sunday, hoping her daughter would stop by like she used to when she was younger. Weeks would pass, and the cookies would go uneaten. Finally, she started taking those cookies down to the library where local volunteers met on Sundays. Not only did they love them, but she found herself looking forward to those visits more than she ever expected. She didn't stop baking. She just stopped waiting. And in that shift, she took her power back. That brings us to something else that can feel hard at first, but gets easier with practice. Release the need for constant explanation. When we're hurt, we want to understand why. We want to analyze their words, their patterns, what we said or didn't say. Did I offend them? Did I ask for too much? Are they angry with me? That mental loop can become exhausting. But here's the truth. People are complicated. Life is chaotic. And sometimes, their silence isn't about you at all. It's about their own overwhelm, their own issues, or simply a lack of awareness that the silence is hurting you. You don't have to carry their story on your shoulders. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not solve it. You are still worthy of love, connection, and joy, even without their validation, even without closure. There is peace to be found in saying, "I may never understand their silence, but I refuse to let it define my value." You are more than the number of missed calls. And here's something else to hold close to your heart. Connection can come from unexpected places. A warm conversation with a neighbor. A heartfelt note from someone you didn't expect. even a kind word from a stranger at the grocery store. When your children go quiet, don't silence your heart along with them. Keep it open. Keep it generous. Keep showing up to your own life. You deserve that much and more. Now, let's take a deep breath together and keep going. You've acknowledged the hurt. You've taken steps to stop pausing your life. That already puts you in a place of strength, even if it doesn't always feel like it. But what now? What else can you do when the silence lingers longer than your patience or your heart feels able to bear? The next thing is something we often forget to do as we get older, especially when we feel let down. Set new emotional boundaries. You may not think of boundaries as a kindness, but I promise you, they are. Not just to protect yourself from hurt, but to teach others how to love and treat you better. You see, when your children go silent, it's easy to respond with more energy, more effort, more giving, hoping that if you're just loving enough, they'll finally come around. But love without boundaries turns into depletion. So instead of giving endlessly and waiting anxiously, try saying, "I am here when you're ready, but I won't abandon myself in the meantime." Maybe that means not answering every text immediately if it only comes when they need something. Maybe it means not rearranging your day for a visit that always ends up canceled. You're not punishing them, you're preserving your dignity. You're showing them that your time, your energy, and your heart matter too. One gentleman I spoke with, Robert, said something that stuck with me. He's 72, and one day, after yet another missed birthday call from his adult son, he decided to stop keeping his evenings free just in case. Instead, he joined a virtual chess group. And wouldn't you know, it didn't take long before his son noticed he was harder to reach and actually started calling more often. Not out of guilt, but out of curiosity, respect, maybe even love. Sometimes pulling back a little invites people to lean in. And while you're setting those boundaries with others, I want to invite you to show yourself a kind of love that often gets overlooked. Turn the compassion inward. Think about how much empathy you've poured into your children over the years. How many scraped knees you kissed. How many tears you wiped. How many birthdays you planned, worries you carried, and nights you stayed up long after they were asleep, just in case they needed you. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you gave that same tenderness to yourself? You don't stop being worthy of love just because someone else forgot to show up. You don't become invisible just because you aren't being seen the way you hoped. You are still here, still valuable, still needed. And one of the most healing things you can do in moments of loneliness or sadness is treat yourself the way you once treated your children. Make a warm meal, even if it's just for you. Light a candle because the scent makes you feel peaceful. Sit with your sadness like you would sit with theirs, patiently, without rushing it away. You deserve your own softness. And maybe, just maybe, as you care for yourself with that kind of grace, your heart will start to feel a little less raw and a little more resilient. Now, let's not pretend that any of this erases the ache completely. Some days it might feel like you're doing all the right things, and the silence still hurts. And that's okay. Healing isn't a race, it's a rhythm. Which brings me to something surprisingly powerful. Finding meaning outside of family. So often, our sense of worth as parents, especially mothers and fathers in later life, gets tied up in how connected we are to our kids. But what if your identity didn't stop at mom or dad? What if you were still a creator, a thinker, a friend, a neighbor, a dreamer? Because you are. One woman I met, Jeanette, who's 74, started writing poems after her children moved away and stopped visiting. She joined a local poetry group, not to win awards or be published, but simply to express herself. Over time, her words became her medicine. She told me that every time she picked up a pen, she felt seen again. Not by others, but by herself. That kind of self-recognition? It's more powerful than any phone call. Whether it's a passion project, a volunteer group, or simply taking time to enjoy the things you once didn't have time for. Step into those parts of yourself that have nothing to do with being someone's parent. Because you were someone before they were born, and you still are. And slowly, gently, the space they've left behind starts to fill with new purpose. Not as a replacement, but as a reminder. Your life is still blooming, even now, even here, even without the call. Sometimes, the biggest breakthroughs come in the quietest moments. You've done the brave work of honoring your feelings, refusing to shrink your life, and turning the compassion inward. You've begun to build new meaning for yourself, piece by piece. But there's one more powerful shift we need to talk about, and that's letting go of the fantasy version of your child. Now, I know that might sound harsh, but stay with me. We all carry around a version of who we hoped our children would become. A version where they call every Sunday, remember your birthday, ask how you're really doing. A version where you still feel deeply seen and needed. And when real life doesn't match that version, it can hurt like grief. Because, in a way, it is a kind of grief. Mourning a connection that either changed or never fully existed the way you imagined. But holding on to the fantasy won't bring peace. It only keeps your heart locked in a cycle of disappointment. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you stop waiting for them to become someone they're not. It means you accept who they are today, flaws, distance, silence, and all, without constantly measuring them against who you wish they'd be. One woman, Eleanor, shared something with me I'll never forget. Her daughter moved across the country and became so consumed with work and raising her own family that the calls became rare, the visits even rarer. For years, Eleanor tried everything: guilt, gifts, open letters, and nothing changed. Until one day, she said to herself, "I will love her for who she is, not who I thought she'd be." It didn't make the silence vanish, but it made Eleanor feel free. No more rehearsing conversations in her head. No more waiting on apologies that never came. She still sent birthday cards. She still kept a photo of her daughter by the bedside. But she let go of the ache. And in that space, joy quietly returned. Forgiveness, real forgiveness, isn't always about reconciliation. Sometimes it's about reclaiming your spirit. And that brings us to the heart of it all. You deserve a joyful life, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. That joy might look different than you imagined. It might not come in the form of a text message or a voicemail saying, "I miss you." It might come in a spontaneous laugh with a friend, a sunset walk that makes you feel alive again, a newfound talent that brings you pride, a conversation with someone who does see you. You get to define what fulfillment looks like now, no one else. And as you do that, something magical tends to happen. When you stop chasing, when you stop overgiving, when you live your life as whole instead of waiting to be completed, you begin to shine differently. And people notice. Sometimes, the children who drifted away will feel that change. And slowly, cautiously, they might start showing up again. Not out of guilt or obligation, but out of respect for who you've become. But even if they don't, your life will still be full. Because you filled it. So what can you take from all this? It's okay to hurt. It's okay to hope. But you don't have to stay stuck in sorrow. Start small. Make one decision today that's just for you. Sign up for something you've always wanted to try. Take yourself out for coffee and bring your favorite book. Call someone who lifts you up. Begin to rebuild that beautiful, sacred relationship with the one person who's been there through it all. You. Because you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not alone. Your life has meaning. Your heart has value. And your presence, your being, is still a gift to this world. If any of this resonated with you, I want to invite you to share your story in the comments. You never know who might read it and feel seen because of your words. And if you found comfort here, give this video a like and subscribe for more content that helps you stay strong, connected, and grounded in every season of life. Here's to choosing joy. Here's to walking forward with strength. And here's to living your best life at any age.